Chapter 3. In the Dark, We Seed. Rylan Sharp was 13 the first time he killed something intentionally. It had been a houseplant, a scraggly fern perched on the windowsill of his father's lab. His father, Dr. Edwin Sharp, had screamed at him earlier for mishandling a hydroponic nutrient mixture. The slap still burned on Ryland's cheek when he poured the wrong chemical on the plant, watching as its leaves curled inward like fists, and its green slowly faded to gray. It had taken minutes to die. Rylan had timed it. Years later, he would cite that moment in his thesis, Adaptive Aggression in Plant Biochemistry, as a formative lesson in the fragility of ecosystems. But it was more than that. It was the first time he felt control. Nature could be broken, rewritten, replaced. By the time he was 20, Rylan had already outgrown every ethics board and grant proposal he was ever assigned. He believed evolution was too slow, too forgiving. Under the right conditions, humanity didn't need to adapt. It could start over. That was what drew him to Oath. David, Lincoln, John, and Mira didn't yet know the full depth of what they were chasing, only that the man behind it had been born of something worse than grief. He had been forged from certainty. Now they were halfway across the world, dropped by cargo plane into the humid breath of the Amazon jungle. Coordinates are 5 clicks northwest, Mira said, checking the GPS through dense tree cover. Dense foliage, no clearings. He buried this place deep. John kept the rear of the group, eyes always scanning, his hand never far from the rifle slung across his chest. He hadn't spoken much since Berlin, and David could feel the tension in every breath he took. You all right? David asked, falling back beside him. John hesitated, then shook his head. I I keep thinking about her, Samantha, the way she died. I thought it was random, that her heart just stopped, but now he trailed off. It it wasn't your fault, David said. John glanced at him, eyes flaring. That's the thing. I think it was. I think it was the prototype. David's stomach turned. They'd first tested the RC drone nearly a year before the crash, a crude but agile quadcopter built to carry small payloads. John had designed it for reconnaissance, but Rylan had loaded it with an early version of Agricide 7X, a soil sterilizing agent developed for warfare. They had tested it in a field outside Prague. The drone malfunctioned and released the chemical early. Samantha had been nearby. The next morning, she never woke up. I told him we need to bury it, John muttered, his voice cracking, that it was a failed experiment. But he didn't listen. He said failure was just the raw material for progress. David reached out and squeezed his shoulder. Then let's make sure his progress ends here. They crested a ridge and found it, a break in the jungle, revealing concrete bunkers, rusted satellite dishes, and a central dome overgrown with vines. The compound. Welcome to Red Eden, Mira whispered. The group fanned out, each person scanning their sector. John led them to a small outbuilding he'd remembered from the blueprints. Inside, they found it, a drone, sleeker than the prototype, carbon fiber wings, and a pressurized canister beneath its belly labeled Agricide 9. Now it's airborne. This is how he plans to spread it, Mira murmured. David spotted a wall of screens, dusty, but still functional. Lincoln tapped the console. A password prompt blinked on. Let me try something, John said. He typed in a familiar phrase. Long live S4M. The system unlocked. Files began appearing on the screens. Videos, research, logs, blueprints. But one file caught their attention. Test Alpha 1. Cam log recovered. It was surveillance footage. They pressed play. The screen flickered. Rylan stood in a greenhouse with several masked scientists. In front of them was a new strain of plant, black-veined, pulsing, carnivorous. We call it Gaiathorn, Rylan said in the footage. It consumes any competing life form in its root radius. Efficient, pure, self-sustaining. It will make old ecosystems obsolete. David stepped back from the screen, horror rising in his throat. He doesn't want to kill the planet, Lincoln said slowly. He wants to erase it. And grow something new, Mira finished. John's voice was hollow. He thinks he's planning paradise. But they all knew the truth now. Red Eden wasn't a sanctuary. It was a seed, and they had to stop it before it took root.